Hello, welcome once again to the channel. So last week we went out to do a test on the Mini 3, a return to home test, and we ended up with an issue with the lens fogging, as you're quite aware. DJI have got my drone at the moment and it's under assessment. I'm just waiting for a response from them, although UPS have taken their time to deliver it. However, that's another story, and I will come back to you in a later video of the outcome of that. But during this video you will notice some of the fogging that I had. I thought I'd include it in this video as well so you guys can see exactly what's happening. So today's video is all about the return to home on the Mini 3, or any drone really from DJI, how it works, what the different scenarios are, and why you should be careful when you're using return to home. Let's just get on with the video and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let's do this. So let's get the first test underway. Just waiting for satellites to come through.
The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
You probably heard that. Just get my old glasses on. It's been absolutely terrible, the weather, this last week or two here in the UK. So we've got 17 satellites. We're going to start screen recording. There we go. So, first of all, let's get him in the air.
Please check it on the map.
So you heard that the home point was updated. Just want to check the return to height altitude. I'm going to set that to about 30 meters or thereabouts. Okay. What we're doing here is we're flying out at about 10 meters. Just go up slightly. 20 meters. We're about 150 meters away. So we're going to initiate now the return to home. This is a smart return to home. You can either do it by tapping return to home on the screen there, or by pressing and holding the home button. So what should happen, because it's only at 22 meters, it should raise up to 30 and come back to us. So let's have a go.
Go home.
As you can see, it's orientated itself to come back to us, and now it's rising up to 31 meters, which is exactly what the book says. Who reads these manuals? This is a bit of a Mythbusters. It's right above me now. When it's about 5 meters, I'm just going to cancel the return to home. We don't want it landing on the wet grass.
Landing.
As you can see on screen, it says tap to cancel to landing. I'm going to cancel that. So, test number 1 complete. So the next one is when it's above the height of the return to home altitude. I'll put that up at 40 meters. Low flying aircraft. Nowhere near me. Okay, so test number 2. When it's above the altitude, it should come back at that altitude that it's set at.
Go home.
As you can see, it stayed at 43 meters and it's on its way back to us. Auto returning to home. It's right above me now. Same thing again, I'm going to cancel that when it starts to descend.
Landing.
Cancel that, bring it down. So the next one is fail safe. Now what that means is if you lose signal between the controller and the drone, it should come back automatically after 3 seconds. So let's fly him out. I'm just going to see what happens. When I hit return to home, it's set at 30 meters. The return to home altitude is set at 31. So all I'm going to do now is turn off the controller. And it's coming back. So what it actually did is it flew backwards for 50 meters. It turned around, it's going up to 31, and now it's coming back to us. I'm going to put the controller back on so I can get control of it. Spinning round. And now it's descending. You can probably hear it on the camera. And it's taking a landing. Okay, so that worked quite well. So it was out above the 50 meter limit. It then went up to 31, turned around and flew back towards us and landed. So that was pretty epic. So the next test I'm going to do is slightly different. I'm not going to take it further than 50 meters and we'll see exactly what happens. We'll just start the screen recording again. I'll have to change the battery shortly because we're getting quite low. But that would be quite handy to do another test where we get a low battery. So let's take off.
Please check it on the map.
Well, there we go. We've got a low battery. So let's get the other camera out.
Go home.
That didn't take long, did it?
Landing.
Turn it round. And it's landing. I am going to cancel it. I don't want it to get wet again. We'll just land it. So there we go. That's what happens when you get a low battery. It automatically returns to home unless you cancel it, of course. Right, let's change this battery and then we'll do the other tests. So okay, fail safe. Now we did one where it was further than 50 meters away. Now this is where you have to be careful, because if you're less than 50 meters away, it's going to return to home on a fail safe. but also it depends on the height as well. So let's get this test started.
The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
So it's 5 meters above us, and I'm going to take it out to approximately 30 meters. Okay, and we're going to do a fail-safe, which is obviously a disconnection from the controller to the drone. I'll have to just stop the old recording, and we'll just get the camera on the drone and see exactly what it does. So that's the controller off. Let's see what she does. After 3 seconds, starting to fly back, and it's flying back backwards. No, it's not. It's turned itself around. I know it's facing the way that it should have done, and down she comes. Now what it's doing now, it's hovering and it's waiting for an input from me. We'll turn the controller back on. So what happened there, I purposely put my hand up to stop it from landing onto the wet grass, and it was waiting for an input from me. So controller was back on, hand caught the drone, and that's exactly what happens. Had I not put my hand up, it would have come straight down onto the grass, and that would have been a successful fail-safe at less than 50 meters. So you can see in that situation where the power lines were behind me, only up at about 20 feet. So you have to be careful. If your drone is less than 50 meters, it isn't going to raise up to the height that you've set that return to high altitude. So you must be careful whether you've got any obstacles in front of you. The drone will see, and it will use its obstacle avoidance to either brake or to back off, go up and go around them. However, like I've just said, if it's less than 50 meters, it's not going to do that, and it's not going to see power lines, so potentially you could crash the drone. So let's start the recording once again. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it past 50 meters and do another fail-safe and see if it goes up to the altitude that I set in the controller. Okay, here we go. Now 10 meters up. That's just after 50 meters. Okay. Just have to stop the recording because otherwise it will lose the footage when I turn the controller off. There we go. That's the controller off. Let's see what she's doing. So it flew back. It's on its way back to us now. At quite a slow pace actually. Turning back round to the orientation it was at and lowering itself down. One important thing to remember with return to home is the speed that it travels at. It's around about 10 meters per second, 22 miles per hour. So if you've taken your drone up to 50 meters and the wind speed is higher than 22 miles an hour, you're going to struggle to get back. So just bear that in mind as well. So just a couple of examples of the return to home and how it actually reacts. Now the one other thing that I'm going to show you is what happens if it's less than 5 meters away. What happens then? What happens when you can turn the controller off, or you lose signal, or your battery goes in the controller? I'll pop the controller back on. Okay, right, so we're 4.5 meters away. I'm going to start recording on the Mini 3. We'll get the other camera up. And we'll start to record this one. I'll show you exactly what happens in a fail-safe. So I'm going to simulate that the battery's gone in the controller. There she is, after 3 seconds. It just lands. Controller switched off and she's landed. So I've just turned the controller back on. It should still be recording even though that we turned off the controller. You can see that on there, but it's still actually recording, which is quite handy really. If you lose control, if your controller between the drone and the controller, and you are in record mode, it will stay recording even though the recorder's off. So we'll stop that now. So just a few scenarios there of the different return to home, your smart return to home, your fail-safe and your low battery. And as I said earlier in the video, you have to be really careful when the drone initiates return to home on its own, like on fail-safe. How high is it? You must have your wits about you and watch out for power lines or any obstacles that's in the way that the drone's not going to see. So hope you've got some use out of the video. If you have, don't forget, give us the thumbs up. And if you're new around here and you enjoy the content on the Mini 3, why don't you consider subscribing and dinging the dong, all the rest of it that goes with it. Thanks for watching, and we will see you with an update on the fogging issue in the next video.